Naturally. Save for Ganyu, who spends the majority of her time in Liyue Harbor. All the Adepti living today are acquainted with Shenhe to some degree.
Cool! So, calling her Shenhe feels kind of friendly, but also kind of disrespectful. So...
Her Adeptus name. Why, pray tell, would Shenhe have an Adeptus?
Don't all Adepti...
On this latter point, you are correct. However...
Oh, right. What? You knew already?
Do you mean to say that she presents differently from...
Well, to start with,
Ah, yes. She was like this all those years ago when one first met her. In this respect, she has not changed. One first found Shenhe by chance in a cave. One was passing by and sensed the presence of a god's remains. Being of an ever-vigilant disposition, one entered immediately to inspect the scene. Inside was Shenhe, then aged around 6 years old. In her hand, she held a dagger with which she was confronting a monster that was the god's remains incarnate.
that sounds so...
When one arrived, she had already been locked in confrontation with this monster for several days. Most mortal children are fragile, both physically and mentally, and are highly reliant on their parents. That she was able to endure such terrible danger was due not only to her strong willpower, but also to the bloodlust and homicidal instinct with which she was born. One dealt with the monster, yet she still refused to lower her guard. She even pointed her dagger in one's direction and remained ready to strike. Only after she was satisfied that one had no...
In other words, if you hadn't passed by that...
Not necessarily. Upon one's arrival, one could sense that the god's wrath was gradually receding. Even had the stalemate continued, one suspects that Shenhe...
That's still so dangerous, though! Why was a tiny little kid...
Alas, the mortal world is rife with suffering of every kind. And she had experienced her fair share of this, even at a tender age. Seeing that she was homeless, one decided... Indeed, it is one to whom she refers. Shenhe has an extraordinary constitution, making her well adapted to practicing the Adepti arts. All the Adepti cherished her talents, and so we were willing. However, her homicidal urges did not subside with age. Mooncarver once performed a divination for her. He declared that her fate is to bear the curse of calamity. Consumed by malevolent energy, she is prone to bring harm to those around her. Such is the magnitude of the danger this poses, that her soul must be bound with red ropes. The red ropes have indeed served to keep her calmer and more content. They also seem to have rendered her somewhat inexpressive. It is only by fate that people's paths may cross. Now that Shenhe's path has crossed with yours, please...
Oh, now Paimon gets it. You came out...
Huh. You dare draw such a facile conclusion on the nature of one's present excursion? Incorrect. The truth is that while Liyue Harbor, Ningguang once made a bold assertion that this is to be the era of the contract between Liyue and the humans. Well, one is most curious to observe how she will respond to the coming storm. If she handles it admirably, one is willing to be a witness to her achievements. But if she does not, the Adepti shall not hesitate to seize control. Let us conclude our conversation here for today. One has occupied enough of your time, and night is approaching.
Shenhe isn't an Adeptus after all. She just grew up around the Adepti.
There seem to have been a growing number of tales told regarding Shenhe. One has heard that the play portrays...
Oh, no wonder she doesn't like being treated as an Adeptus. Having everyone falling over themselves to show their respect all the time must be kind of hard to deal with.
Come on, enough procrastinating. Let's go.
Hey, so, Shenhe...
Master has relayed my situation to you.
Oh? How did...
I'd intended to wait until you came back before going to sleep, but I didn't hear you come in. I was worried that something may have happened to you. So I went out. On top of this, you have been acting very strangely around me this morning, causing me to... After all, Master is...
Sorry, Shenhe. Paimon had you down as an Adeptus that...
It's okay. I don't mind. The fault is mine for not explaining everything to you sooner. Because in my... Still, though you mistook me for an Adeptus, you never treated me as distant and unapproachable. Instead, you treated me as you would a friend. For this, I am very grateful.
To be fair, we've met our fair share of real Adepti, too. Anyway, now it's settled. From now on, you're our friend. Whether you're an Adeptus or a human is...
Got it. Although I don't know quite what it entails in terms of what I have to do, I must say I like the...
Great! Well, now that we're all rested up, we should start searching for the other 2 items on the list. But before we do that, let's go to the building site. After all, Sunset Vermilionite is so... Oh, and another thing. We bought some grilled chicken drumsticks on the way back last night. There was a place just outside. Here's one for you, Shenhe. Try it!
I concur.
Look! The Jade Chamber is floating into the sky! But it seems to be tied down by something.
That's because it's not finished.
Hey, Bywin! And hey, Beidou! And hey! Person Paimon doesn't...
Given the enormous scale of the Jade Chamber, we split the construction work into 2 phases to make sure the structure remains balanced. Before we find some suitable plastrite, we build the Jade Chamber's keel at ground level. Once the plastrite is ready, we place it into the keel and let the partially constructed Jade Chamber rise up to the height of the surrounding mountain peaks. The remainder of the construction work is then carried out at that altitude. Once
Miss Bywin, we've brought some new materials to submit.
One moment, The construction work has only been able to progress this rapidly thanks to the plastrite provided by you. Lady Ningguang is most grateful and looks forward to seeing more of your work.
Wow, can't believe you sourced the plastrite so quickly. It's the key piece of the puzzle.
Beidou? You're joining the Jade Chamber?
Sure am. I happened to get my hands on a chunk of sunset vermilionite on a voyage a while back, so...
Huh. So even though it's rare, we're not...
Oh, I've got some introductions to do. This is the renowned Miss Yoon, or Yoonjin, probably the most famous figure in the Liyue opera scene.
Greetings.
These two are Paimon and the Traveler, both good buddies of mine. And this is...
Shenhe. I am their... friend.
Good to meet you. A friend of a friend is my friend too. Or, as I like to say, a mate of a crewmate is part of the crew. Miss Yoon is also here for the contest. Turns out she needed to borrow a boat, so...
It's an honor to finally meet you both. I've heard much about you. Miss Shenhe, though we are only meeting to be honest with you all, I am in great need of this opportunity to ask Lady Ningguang a question. That's why I joined the contest. Thanks to my father's connections, I was able to acquire a specimen of the plastrite required. Fortunately, it was approved for submission, despite being a little on the diminutive side.
Wow. So it looks like the three of us are competitors now.
Excuse me for prying, Miss Shenhe, but are you competing as well?
Much smaller than usual.
No, I don't have any questions for Ningguang. I just wanted to help her win.
In that case, Lady Ningguang said that the first 3 contestants to procure all 3 materials will be awarded the chance to ask a question. Well, there are 3 teams here. Instead of competing against each other, we could work together.
Sounds great.
The plastrite... How'd I do?
Precisely.
Huh.
Okay then. Alright, from what I've heard,
We will head into town and seek advice.
Wonderful. I'm gonna take off. See you later.
Okay, by the way, what question are you gonna ask?
I'm looking for a venue to host the performance.
Ooh, what's...
The opera is a labor... It's called... Traveler.
Hey, Catherine! Got any new commissions for us today? Also, how come you...
I went to the shrine to draw a fortune slip earlier. The shrine maiden told me...
Catherine? Drawing fortune slips at the shrine? Wait, no, that's not the unusual part. We're in Liyue. You went to Inazuma and...
Even I have a private life, you know.
Okay, so when you say unexpected reunion...
Who can say? But the anticipation of reunion is due is making me happy to see everyone I cross paths with today.
Fair enough. Even though we see each other pretty much every day, whatever makes you happy. Wait, are you saying? Oh, fingers crossed we find...
I'm sorry. Did I say something I shouldn't have? You both seem a little down.
Oh, it's nothing. Anyway, back to business. Do you have a new commission you want to give to us?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I do. This one is from a miner. It seems to be related to investigating the chasm.
Really? Does this mean the chasm's not sealed off anymore?
I will leave the requester to fill you in on all the relevant details. His name is Yue Hui, and he should be at the chasm right now.
All right then. Thanks, Catherine. We'll head there right away.
Very well. Ad Astra Abyssosque. This... Ad Astra at... Thank you for completing... Ad Astra...
Excuse me, Master.
Of course I have.
My name is...
ट्यूशन नहीं है हाँ है अभी तो 448 हूँ हाँ हाँ
Jin? Sorry. My brain's finally... Oh, you're here to ask about Wonder Cores, huh? As it happens, I do know how to make them. Matter of the types of ore need...
No? We...
Sure. If I remember correctly, Lady Ningguang sourced her... It could take some work, but if you stick with... I'm really not sure. Sorry. Of course, it's...
Mount Tianheng.
Interestingly enough, I hear the view that perhaps it can give me... I came to Mount Tianheng once with my father as a child. I remember it being such a long climb that I could barely feel my legs by the time we reached the top. This is quite a trip down memory lane for me. Look at these majestic, towering peaks, and the gently flowing streams. It's like setting foot in paradise. No wonder the legend of the divine damsel of devastation is said to have taken place here. Adepti wander oft, where mortals seldom stride. Indeed, this looks like a place that one might expect to be frequented by adepts.
The Divine Damsel of Devastation is your upcoming opera, right? And the story takes place at Mount Tianheng. Huh. Seems like you have a real connection with this place. What's the story about, though?
It's the story of a girl becoming a hero.
Cool. A hero?
The legend first arose in this area. It is in that village that the wife was out collecting herbs and was captured by the monster. Her husband was so distraught at the news that it broke his spirit and drove him to madness. The vile and vicious monster told the villagers, if you want to live...
What a nasty piece of work! Ugh.
But the monster was so terrible and so strong that all within the village were just while they were discussing whose child would be up and came forward.
No.
Unbeknownst to anybody else, she was concealing an exorcist's blade. She approached the monster's lair, feigning fear and trepidation. When she finally arrived, she courageously drew her sword and entered into a fierce struggle with the monster, from which she eventually emerged as the victor. Her extraordinary abilities drew the attention of the Adepti, and they took her as one of their own. Her story became the stuff of legends. But alas, the paths of mortals and Adepti seldom cross, and she would never again re-enter the mortal world. And so, destined to grace the mortal realm for but a brief moment, she vanished like a wisp of smoke into thin air.
I really like this story. But I personally think that perhaps the little girl was not as brave as the opera makes her out to be. I'm not sure she deserves all the praise she is given.
I've never considered that before. Opera is always an interpretation of the events it purports to portray. A certain degree of deviation from the truth is always inevitable. When my father wrote the script for this play, I suppose his intention was to...
I think...
Well, it sure inspired Paimon! Let's go get ourselves some Star Splinter! I'll catch up. This should be enough Star Splinter iron. Now we just need to find that Subrosium.
I think I saw a village on our way here. Master John said we should ask the locals for help.
Hey! Someone here. Yunjin, looks like you were right. Huh. He did...
Hello, sir. We were just...
Is he trying to tell us to look for clues in the village? Shenhua, Yunjin...
Sorry, you can go ahead without me. I'd like to have a word with this gentleman. If that's okay with you, Uncle Mingjin.
It's...
Shenhe.
Shenhe. I'm sorry, I don't know how to find Subrosium. This place is deserted now. No one ever comes.
Huh? You know this guy, Shenhua?
Thank you, kind sir. Don't worry. Mingjin has no ill intention towards Miss Shenhe. She'll be...
Okay, then let's see what we...
The remains remains of a god, an abandoned village, Mount Tianheng. Does this mean that the true story of the Divine Damsel of Devastation happened right here? In this? The time frame certainly matches, so it seems we're in the right area.
A little dusty. Best give it a spring clean.
Huh. What's this?
Huh? Telefondo.
So, Shenhe? Now that I think about it, she does behave rather like an Adeptus. So that's why I've been getting the strangest feeling whenever I check. According to this text, the divine damsel from the opera was actually the daughter of the loving couple. And she didn't volunteer. She was sacrificed to the monster by her own father. Oh, the truth is even more lamentable than the opera. Now I understand why Shenhe said the girl was not as brave as people think. It wasn't... Oh. It looks like my father may need to make a few revisions to his beloved...